Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and some Diablo 4 news. I'm back once again to fill in for Cotton, who normally covers the recent details surrounding this funny game. Funny is how I describe the mess we're currently experiencing with a new patch. Said patch 1.3.1 dropped with some interesting buffs to say your Construct companion. Many different powers are raised in potency, with some already popular picks getting say a 10% bump, alongside the held back changes to two enemy types, the vampiric, which can be annoying in the endgame, and more importantly, suppressors, who are both nerfed in effectiveness. Now your vampiric enemies can only heal for 25% rather than 50% in World Tier 4, but more importantly, suppressors won't permanently have their field active. This is particularly important in the vaults and those final rooms where you're trying to avoid the traps, but if you want to go inside the suppressor field, you're screwed. Instead, the suppressors have this 6 seconds of uptime, then it goes down for a bit, and you can also stop those fields by stunning it, knocking it down, even dazing it. So very welcome changes, but the Construct companion stuff is going to be interesting long term. While the main feedback for this companion was that it was way too weak, it was a bit more complicated than that. The Construct wasn't a weak seasonal power, not at all. It was the buffs that it gave us that were so useful rather than say the Construct and specifically it dealing damage. Unfortunately, they had us leveling that so slowly, so they massively then improved the rate at which we level it up. With all the improvements to Construct Stone leveling, we can now test the power levels, and it didn't take long to find out that there's actually some strong combos for getting the Construct to do some good damage itself. With the patch hitting and the buffs being in, there's only more testing going on, so the very nature of what is meta for the Construct may change. But what part of that is funny? Well, the patch itself might have had good plans and interesting changes, but unfortunately, it did introduce a cool new feature for the game: disconnects and infinite loading. Some players are left stuck in say the splash screen on launch when they try and play, or if they do make it to say the character screen, they're just looking at it try to log in forever. On the other hand, even funnier is one of the two main things we're doing in the game right now, one being Druid farming and the other Malphas farming, is no longer in the game. They completely barred entry to the Uber Vault, the Vault of the Loom in World Tier 4, and I experienced this myself. Yesterday when I was gathering footage for a Necromancer build, I went to go get the Echo of Malphas. I entered as normal, spending my 7 cores, mind-numbingly gathered at say a Brazier event, and also spending a bunch of pearls to get warding stacks, and while at first it was all fine, the moment I tried to enter the portal to progress the vault at the top left, I was just instantly disconnected. And because I was disconnected, when I logged back in, I'd lost my 100 stacks that I'd spent. So that's my 3% chance at a unique stone dead for this run. I figured, okay, that's pretty bitter, but I still have the 0.5% on the kill. So I went back to the portal and tried again, only to be disconnected in the same way. So instead, I tried going a different way, to a different portal, and they worked and let me progress. But when I went back to the top left portal, which I have to go into, it was just another disconnect. So I was pretty frustrated at this point and decided to go look at some recent posts by the devs, see if people were talking about it. And actually, a lot of people were. In a matter of minutes, they announced that they're going to be looking into this, only to completely disable the Vault of the Loom about an hour later. So that means you cannot go kill Malphas right now, as I record this video anyway. Yeah, I figured it would be fixed and back later that night, or, at very least the next day. But yeah, as I record this, it's still disabled, and there's no estimated return for the vault. We don't know when it's coming back. Pretty grim. One of the two main things I'm doing in the game right now is just gone, and personally, I haven't got a single unique stone in over 60 kills at this point. I am crying for a mercy system for those damn things. It's a real pain. I'm still holding out hope that we will see an update to make these drops, more common, or yeah, maybe a mercy system. It feels a bit silly to hope for that since we've not seen anything like that with say the Uber Uniques, which is another sore spot for me, but it doesn't seem so foolish for me to hope for better systems around these items. And that is because we have this very interesting news about Uber Uniques coming from Adam Fletcher. Imagine you farm Dural for hours and hours, you've got your second Uber Unique, and it's a duplicate, so it's useless. Or more likely, you've been farming them for a long time and you want a specific one. Maybe you've even had a couple drop, but because there's no system in place that makes it more likely you get one that you don't have right now, by having multiple, you're more likely to get a duplicate. This PSA then is that the team has some upcoming plans to tackle that concept. Specifically, we've been given a heads up that those of us who have Uber Uniques we aren't utilizing should hang on to them. Don't delete them. This actually suggests more than just the second version of an Uber Unique you have though. Maybe you have an Uber Unique that you only have one copy of, but you have no plans of using using it. Maybe it's not relevant to your playstyle or something like that. But that's all the information we were given. At best, we can speculate, and to me, this sounds like there's going to be a way to convert an Uber into another one. Maybe a sort of new Uber crafting system. Spend one Uber to RNG roll a different one. Or maybe you need 2 Uber uniques to then get one new one or something like that. Hopefully, if that's the case, we can choose what we're going to get. Either way, if you're one of these rare mystical creatures who actually has multiple copies of one Uber right now, or maybe multiple Ubers and there's one you're just not planning on using, this is a good sign for you. But I can't imagine that there's many people like that. So for now, I'll continue to cry about some sort of mercy system for the Uber uniques and unique stones, and we'll see what they're going to do. Moving on to the next topic. Check your email. In the last couple of days, players have been receiving emails about their Season 2 journey and stats. A little look back at the numbers, and apparently over 497 million Bloodseekers were killed by the player base at large, with the new boss, Lord Zir, being killed 9.4 million times himself. On the other hand, 21.3 million deaths were to Bloodseekers, and 1.2 million died at Zir's hands. I would assume these numbers are greatly buffed by the end of the season pinnacle challenge, the Abattoir, which had those 3 tough Bloodseekers at the end you had to kill. If the Abattoir hadn't come in, those death numbers in regards to Bloodseekers would probably be massively reduced. They also referenced the unique item drops, with over 350 million dropped, 674 million Seeker keys gathered, and 41 billion potent blood gathered. The last one's funny because I'd maxed out my vampiric powers after like 1 week of Season 2, then proceeded to gather an ungodly amount of completely useless potent blood for the rest of the season, because there was nothing else to use it on. Further though, we have personal stats to look at. Mine, for example, was just shy 20k potent blood earned, 131,000 monsters killed, a pathetic 167 Bloodseekers slain, and a selfish 23 blood lure donations used. I openly admit that I'd show up to those events in the Blood Harvest and then use maybe 1 donation to get the ball rolling, and then usually other people would spend theirs and it would just work for me. My Bloodseeker kill count fell behind a bit compared to others, I think, because the Abattoir as a Necromancer just wasn't for me. If you weren't a Barbarian or at least a Sorcerer, it wasn't really for most people. Though there were commendable efforts by the lesser popular classes in there, like Necromancers pushing the highest tiers they could, just not comparable or competitive with, say, Barbarians. For example though, if we look at Josh's stats, who mains a Sorcerer and did really push himself in the Abattoir for a while, he killed 222 of them, over 50 more than me. But yeah, if you're interested, you can check your email and see what your own numbers were, just as a neat stat sheet for the season. Okay, let's talk about the new content, because we have our new seasonal event landing in just a few days. The Lunar Awakening drops on February 6th and will last 14 days, aka 2 weeks, ending February 20th. We got some new details from the devs telling us what's really going on in this. The theme is tied to the shrines of the game, and they're going to be providing you new buffs and important XP and movement speed buffs. When you use one of these shrines, you're going to get a 50% bonus to your XP and also a nice 30% to your movement speed. Pretty insane, meaning this is going to be an ideal time to level an alt if you want to try something different. The event will start in Ked Bardu in the Dry Steppes, where you meet a new NPC. They just happen to be the leader of the night market, our main hub for this event. Here we'll have a new reputation bounty board system that you level to unlock the themed items, and the new lunar shrines will be found in the open world as well as dungeons. They have a dragon theme to them, basically a dragon statue compared to a normal shrine, and there'll be a new icon on the map so you don't miss them. There's also going to be new corrupted versions of these shrines, which basically means it's a new event. You go there, you protect the lunar celebrants, cleanse the shrines of the spirits, kill an extra wave if you master it, leading to a great source of reputation to get the new item rewards. The shrines themselves are still functional shrines, just updated with new effects. During this event then, the Artillery Shrine is going to cause holy bombs, the Blast Wave Shrine is going to cause new cluster bombardments, the Channeling Shrine will also increase your attack speed with a chance to reset cooldowns, that sounds really good. The Conduit Shrine will cause these strikes from the sky around your character. The Greed Shrine is going to be way better. It has this chance to summon a treasure goblin when you use it, but if you kill 25 enemies with the buff, you spawn another one. So at 50 you'll spawn 2. The Lethal Shrine might instantly kill enemies while you have the buff, and that causes fear on nearby enemies, though be aware it's only working on normal and elites, not other players or bosses. And lastly, the Protection Shrine isn't just immune to damage, but you actually reflect the damage, scaling with your level and the world tier. So it sounds a lot more interesting, especially the Greed Shrine, on top of say the bonus to XP and movement speed. Outside of that, they're changing both the Nightmare Dungeon sigils and Whispers with some new effects. On a sigil, you might roll a new positive affix. The new Ancestral Favor affix guarantees the lunar shrines will spawn in that dungeon. And so you probably have a really easy time clearing that one. Even better, if it does have that affix, said dungeon will reward 10% extra glyph XP at the end. Really nice. Then there's the whispers stuff, the new themed whispers that are going to appear wherever normal whispers are, just for some variety. And also when you hand in favors at the tree, you'll get ancestral favor for the rewards at the night market. But we've mentioned them a couple times. What are the new rewards? Basically, you level your reputation to 10 and that'll get you everything. A wand, a two-handed axe, a bow, a mount, and a mount trophy, alongside some body markings. That's actually pretty decent, especially compared to the last event. Actual mount skin that you don't have to pay for is pretty unheard of in the current Blizzard standards. Though, admittedly, there's still going to be a pile of cosmetics that you have to buy in the shop during the event. Overall though, I think the event sounds much better than the winter one, tying in better with normal gameplay. And it should also let you level alts faster, help level glyphs. There's nothing to go crazy over, but it's nice and it's more relevant to the normal gameplay. But yeah, that brings us to the end of the current news in Diablo 4. We'll see how it all goes, and we'll have the event on February 6th. Hopefully Malphas is returned to the game soon, and we'll learn whatever they're planning for the Uber Uniques. Until then, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.